Today I'm going to be talking about the Polaris Pro R built into a race car, but even more than that, I'm excited to tell you guys that not only am I talking about it, but in partnership with Prime Power Sports, we actually ordered one for ourselves. So we're going to be talking about this more and more as that time gets closer of when we actually get one. We're also going to be showing you guys exactly what it is, what it looks like, how it drives, how fast it is, and all the other information that you guys could possibly want. Feel free to ask those questions. We're going to be prepared to answer them. Now, let's get into the spec sheet first, and then we're going to talk a little bit about our plans with this machine and a little bit about our background in UTV off-road racing. So to run down this spec sheet, there's two motor options that you do when you go to order the machine. You have the 225 horsepower, which is pretty much the stock machine, right? If you go buy a Polaris Pro R, that's about what you get is 225 horsepower. I opted for the high output motor, which does take race fuel, but it comes out as 255 horsepower, making that such a more ripping machine. Now, just for reference, this machine has won almost every single race since its debut a couple years ago. And since then, they've done a bunch more R&D. Polaris is a billion-dollar company, and so they really have had the opportunity to put tons of money into this program, tons of money into these cars to really make them the best race cars on the market. And over the last 3 years, they've proved it. To dive a little bit deeper, Polaris is known for using the Fox live valve suspension, and they actually do use it on these cars as well. They use the Fox 3.0s, making, you see here, 27 inches of travel in the front and 29 inches of travel in the rear. And these are the live valve suspensions, making it so you can actually change the settings of the shocks. And on these cars, I'm pretty sure you can change the internal settings. So you can actually go and program each setting to be exactly what you want. I know that's what the Polaris guys do. I'm friends with a couple of them, and they tell me things now and then that I'm just like, that's crazy. I also know that Brock Hager has a sway bar that's on a switch, allowing him to change where it is and how rigid it is. I'm not sure exactly the technology there, but essentially it allows him to go faster in the bumps, faster on the fast sections, makes it just for a more customizable ride. Honestly, the customization and the technology that you can put in some of these things is like mind-blowing nowadays. Like everything's on a switch, on an actuator, and you can just customize the way things drive so much better. Stock on this machine comes with 35 BFGs, the KR2s. It comes on the Method beadless rim, so it's like the bead grip makes so the rim's lighter, but it still works as good of a bead lock. That's kind of the reasoning behind that is you don't sacrifice the performance or the weight, so that's kind of like a nice deal there. On top of that all, the 35-inch BFG is pretty sweet. I've always ridden on tensors personally, but I've raced other people's cars with the BFGs. I think they're very comparable tires. Both are absolutely incredible. Now, the ground clearance on this is just over 17 inches. I will buzz through the rest of these really quick. It weighs 2,510 pounds dry. It doesn't come with any lighting packages stock. But it does come with a Motec, so you have your full Motec in the system, which is really, really nice to have. That's an expensive system. And then you just have to add your own lights depending on sponsors or deals or just preference, along with GPSs and whatnot. So I've always run a Lawrence, but the Garmin's are kind of making a stand these days. So I've used both in different people's race cars, and they're both really, really great options. Since they made the car a little bit heavier and a whole lot faster, they added better brakes, which is the upgraded Alcon brakes with an in-cab adjuster. So this machine is built so that you can race it in the Best in the Desert series, which is one of the bigger United States ones, the Legacy series, which is another big United States series, but is also fully built and safety regulated for the Mexico series, which is like the Baja 1000, the Baja 500, the 400, and the San Felipe 250, which in my opinion are the biggest, baddest off-road races in the world. There's no proving grounds quite like the Baja is. And to give you guys a little bit of a background, I started racing UTVs professionally in the off-road space when I was like 15, just turned 15 years old. I used to have records for being the youngest person to win some of these races. I was the first person to win the Mint 400 back-to-back in a UTV. I have two different Polaris race cars that are at this point over 10 years old, and both of them are world championship race cars, in the UTV world. We've podiumed the Baja races, we've won all sorts of races, and I grew up off-road racing in a UTV. Since then, I've started racing trucks and bigger things, and While those are so much fun, there's really nothing quite like ripping fast in a UTV. So I'm super excited to, announce that partnered with Prime Powersports. We've got one of these cars on order. I've driven almost all the big race manufacturers' cars, the Cognitos, the Lone Stars, both make absolutely incredible machines. This one coming from Polaris is a unique opportunity, seeing as that it's a Polaris-backed machine from SCI. So I'm really excited to get kind of behind the wheel of this one. I've seen these other guys race them for a long time. I've seen that they're super capable cars. They're obviously winning a lot of things. They obviously also have more support than anyone else. So I'm interested to see, what this car can do with a normal program. I'm gonna be entering this into as many races as I can. Gonna go testing it, gonna go use it, gonna go review it, break it down, show you guys everything Polaris and SCI have done to this car to really make it what it is today. And really my ultimate goal is to go take it to some of these races and beat the factory guys at their own game. I love those guys. I think they're totally great. Obviously, it's just all friendly racing, but I think that would be really fun to say, hey, we bought the car from them, and it does actually compete with them. I'm blabbering on at this point, but stay tuned as we kind of march down this path of getting this machine. We're going to give you guys all the information as it comes. I'm expecting the machine to come mid to late summer, and then from then, it's kind of game on. We're going to go racing. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys want to stay tuned and up to date on this whole process of us getting this machine and racing it, along with all the other racing that we do in the trophy truck space, make sure to like, comment, do the usual, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next week.